Guten Tag, guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. Willkommen, wie geht es dir? No, right, that's the extent of my German. I can't remember anymore. How are we diddling? It is time for a bit more gefliegen. A bit more flying in. I think we're going to do some Spitfire. Why on earth not? So we're going to spawn up, ramp, whatever, we're going to slow. We're going to go, I reckon, so we did this the other day actually, but we're going to, quite enjoyed it. So we're going to go for the spit from Gatwick up to Manchester. We're going to make sure we've got a bit of fuel. Yeah, we've got a bit of fuel. So we're going to fly now. Let that load up. Now, in terms of air traffic control, we have Gatwick ground. We have London Centre and London Centre Mentor on. So they're not going to have Gatwick under their remit, and we shouldn't actually enter into their control zone. Andy Ford's the mentor for their fantastic cracking air traffic controller on VATSIM. Then not a lot else up north. We tell you what, we could go up the east side actually on the way up today, which would give us a transit across Essex, therefore Stansted's control zone. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds fun. Oh, interestingly, Gatwick ATIS is online. Oh, Gatwick Direct has just come on. Louis Ringer, fantastic. Yeah, another excellent controller. So yeah, okay. So we'll have air control out of Gatwick, head up north towards Stansted. We'll do a transit of Stansted, and then head up towards Manchester, where we do have London Control North on. We may need to get in touch with, in lieu of there not being Manchester radar on, and then over to Manchester Tower, where we've got John Cardiff. Fantastic, good to see John on Manchester. He used to do, or he probably still does, Liverpool Tower and Ground quite a bit. He does East Mids every now and then as well. Another cracking controller in the I get the impression on the early days of his VATSIM career, or earlier days of his VATSIM ATC career, just because of his ranking, but do correct me if I'm wrong, but nevertheless, really nice chap to talk to. I think he's been on stream a few times before as a controller, and we've had a bit of a chat with him on frequency, and he's, yeah, I've had a chat with him before off frequency, and cracking blow, another cracking bloke. Oh, there's too many of them. So yeah, let's do that. So just to show you that on VATSpy then. So Gatwick's where we're spawning. We've just got Gatwick Director on. We'll come up the east side, do a transit of Stansted, and then we probably won't push out as far as the Wash. We'll probably come over over Leicester, over East Mids, sort of Derby way. Nottingham's up here, but over Derby way, and then into Manchester via the VFR route over Rotherham, over what's the Eastern Transit route into Manchester? I completely forget. Panic looks at the charts, immediately pulls up the wrong flipping chart, so that's no good. Hang on, not V-Pilot, Plan G will tell us all. Over, it won't be Buxton, it'll be nearer in than that. It won't be Alderley Edge. Oh, Whaley, that's it, Whaley Bridge. Sorry, Whalley Bridge. That's it. Right, H, come on, you're from there. Well, I'm not from Whalley Bridge, I'm not a complete and utter chap. So yeah, also I've had one of my air cadets say that they've posted a message. I'm going through my notifications on the YouTube, and I can't see it. Unless it's the message about setup, what setup I have. In which case, if that is you, then I have already done a video, if you scroll through the doings, of my setup. If for whatever reason that does not cut the mustard and you want a little bit more, or you've got any specific questions that I've not covered in that video, because it was a little while ago. Why is FSX going up? Then please do comment on that video. I will know it's you, and then I will answer your questions. As always, hopefully everyone knows this by now, I do this for the sheer enjoyment, and one of those enjoyable factors is helping other people out. So please do not hesitate to ask if there's something I've not told you that you want to know. I'm trying to find the North Maintenance area. Here we are. You know, don't think, oh, I don't want to bug him anymore. No, please do. The more people who ask me stuff, the happier I am. So crack on, get smashing that keyboard, and do ask away. Equally, ask in the chat as well if you prefer. That we can do that. I have chat working. Well, I have chat working. Not through OBS. I don't know why OBS will not. I'm clicking the button, but it's having none of it. But I've got YubTubs up on to the screen, so I can see it on there. So we're at the North Maintenance area. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect to VATSIM. Usual comments on here. If you've never been on VATSIM before, the first time you go on, it is quite intimidating, quite daunting, you know, because everyone's doing things correctly and the right VP and all this sort of jazz, and you're like, oh my God, oh no, I'm not good enough to do this. When you log in to VATSIM, I'll tell you what, let's show you. Hang on, let's put the center screen back on. Click. There we go. Right, so this is vPilot. vPilot is one of the clients and one of the bits of software that connects you up to the VATSIM network. If you use X-Plane, you can use XSquawkBox. It's the same thing but looks different. You do it through the console in anyway, through X-Plane. If you've got any questions on that, do ask or Google it. There's tons of stuff like that. vPilot's the easiest one if you're on Windows using FSX or P3D. It's just dead easy. When you connect for the first time, do not connect on an active runway. Connect on some sort of parking area. So like I did here, slew yourself over to a parking area, and then hit connect. And actually what I'll do, so when you load up vPilot, it'll look like this. You've got to go into settings, key in your VATSIM ID and password. So go on the VATSIM website and sign up, and it takes a few hours for them to actually authorize it, send you a password, yada yada yada. Set it all up, and then connect. So connect your call sign, make it a realistic call sign. Don't connect with Harambe1 or any other crap like that, because like anything, if you connect as a twat, then you will be seen as a twat on the network, and you'll be given a hard time because you're being a plonker. So connect with a fairly sensible call sign. Spitfire is a Battle of Britain Memorial Flight call sign, so that's nice and easy. If you've got the Spit, you can do that. At the moment, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person on the whole network who ever connects with this call sign, but that doesn't mean other people can't. It'd be great to see Spitfire 1, 2 and 3. Oh, that would be mint. That's right, let's just water the pilot. If you're not sure, Google call signs for the aircraft you're in, or just key in a registration. So all FSX aircraft have a default registration. Most of them tend to be American, so you know, like it'll look something like that. So November 1003, November being the prefix for an American call sign. All British ones, British ones will start with a G for Great Britain. So you might log on to or go on VATSpy and you might see. So if I pull up VATSpy, another bit of freeware software, VATSPY here in the corner, if you can see it. If Stream Health actually gets any decent. If we go, we've got, and then there's 4 letters, which is the registration. So there's a Cessna 172, Golf Foxtrot Echo Alpha Yankee. We've got Golf Foxtrot Alpha Lima Charlie. G arse. So guess what? He's going to get treated like an absolute penis when he's on the network. So don't do that, because you're going to get treated like a div, and it makes your life harder. Got G Mank. There's no 152. So guess where he's from? Probably Manchester. That's not a knobhead call sign. Pardon my French. You know, that's fine. We've got Bundes 1. Oh, no flight plan. Great. Stuff like that. Oh, hey, up Storm. How's it going? I was about to say how's it hanging, but then realised that doesn't work. Yeah, so Bundes 1. So things that are words tend to be military call signs. Not always, but tend to be. Well, that's fine. You can join with a military call sign. Or if you're flying for an airline, you'll notice a lot of these have got similar prefixes. So BAW, British Airways, their call sign, but you don't say British Airways, you say Speedbird. British Airways also have SHT, which is shuttle. That's also British Airways. RYR, Ryanair. We've got BEE, that's Flybe, but they're referred to as Jersey. There's an American one, so November 809901. That seems to be a number longer than it needs to be. EIN being Irish, so this is Shamrock 114. Easy, obviously EasyJet. Who else have we got? DLH, Lufthansa, German. Ryanair, GC, I forget. EXS is going to really bug me, and it's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think for the life of me who EXS are. Jet2, that's it. Another Lufthansa, some more EasyJets. CRL, can't remember those. BPCAD, that's just a registration. SIA is another one. Singapore, so that's, yeah. SAS is Scandinavian. So you can connect with any of these. It doesn't matter what one you do. You know, you pick one and go for it. So that's that. So you pick your call sign, whatever it is. So I'm going to be Spitfire. Type code, right. So this is the aircraft you are flying in. This is important to get this correct verbatim. So the so it's nearly always a 4-character code, and it's the ICAO code. So if you go to Google and you key in ICAO space Spitfire, it will tell you that the type code for the Spitfire is Spit. The Hawker Hunter, it's Hunt. The F-16, it's actually F-16, or F-18 if you're in the F-18, or F-18A. If you're in the A320, the Airbuses are easy because it's A320 or A321 or A318. If you're in a Boeing 747-800, these are a bit difficult, a bit more difficult. It's B for Boeing, 74, and then the series. So if we're in 747-800, it would be the Boeing 748. If we're in the Boeing 747-200, it would be 742. If we're in the 737-100, it would be 731, not just 737. That would be Boeing 737-700 series. 738 for the most recent one. If you're, you know, that follows on. If you're in the Dash 8, or the Crash 8, it's DH8D for the Q400 for the Dash 8. But if you just Google in words what the plane is you're flying, and then ICAO, it's pretty much on all the aircraft's wiki pages anyway. So if you look on the wiki page, it'll tell you what the ICAO code is. Get that correct. CellCal isn't really used on VATSIM, so you can leave that blank. That is irrelevant, really. And finally, if you want to connect to the network so you can see everyone, but you are invisible, so you don't have to worry about air traffic control because you're not going to show up on the radar, but you're connected so you can see everything, you can hear everything, then tick this box. Share, so it goes to connect as observer. You can still fly, you can do everything, but you will not show up on the air traffic controller screen, you won't show up on other pilot screens. So if you want to just fly around and get used to listening into the radio messages and stuff like that without being everyone off, then tick this box. You want to connect and be visible and be part of the fun and games, then untick it and you connect. Okay, and then it says, yeah, you're connected to one of the VATSIM servers. If you choose the one geographically closest to you, so UK 1 or 2, it doesn't matter which one. You're all on the same network. It just, you know, ping changes. And you'll see this will start populating. It takes a few seconds for it to fully populate. See, they're still popping up here. So we've connected at Gatwick, which is Echo Golf Kilo Kilo, EGKK. That is Gatwick. Again, it's on the wiki page. So at this point, now you are visible on the network. So if you connected on the runway, then you're going to get kicked immediately and shouted at and all the rest of it. So don't do that. Connect at parking, somewhere where people expect for someone to. Go on the NATS website, right? And the easy way to do this, it's the way I do it, key in AIP space, Aeronautical Information Procedures, Protocols, something, and then the airport code with a space. So here we're at Gatwick, AIP EGKK. First hit is NATS, National Aeronautical something service, transport service? Pass, don't know. Click that and you get something that looks like this. And you get this for any of the UK major airfields, right? You'll get different amounts of stuff here. First hit is always the aerodrome chart, PDF, and that shows you the airfield. It tells you what all the taxiways are, what all the holding points are, any interesting stuff you have to be careful of. Yeah, fine. Yeah, most of those are fairly obvious. But it's useful for showing you the taxiways, the holding points. So if you get told to taxi, so we're at Maintenance Area North or Maintenance Area 2 as it is on the map here, but they call it North, and this one being South, down here in the bottom right corner of the screen, rather than 1 and 2. But if you said 1 or 2, it's perfectly valid. Just they'll probably read back to you Maintenance Area North. You get told to hold Delta 1 via Tango, 08 left, and Delta. You might not even get given Delta. So taxiway Tango is there. So we're going to come along there. 08 left is here. So we're going to go along there. And there's Delta 1. So it tells you exactly where you're going. If you're parked up at the gates, you might be on one of these piers. But this doesn't tell you stand numbers. So if we go back to the original page, we want to look at the ground movement parking docking chart. Looks very similar, except it's decluttered. It's got your taxiways marked very, very clearly, and this one's got all your stand numbers. Okay, so if you connected at stand 159, you can see that. Or all you do, just shared on Twitter. No, I don't. Ironically, on my personal YouTube, so the one for me, Simon Howroyd, has got more subscribers than my gaming channel. Go figure. And that's only got stuff about fuel cells and academic nonsense that no one really cares about, whereas all the cool stuff's on here. So thank you very much for sharing those, Storm. Very, very, very kind of you. So yeah, so this gives you your ground chart or your stand. So if you're arriving into Gatwick and you get told taxiway Juliet, and then Papa, and then Lima to stand 50, we know we come along Juliet, up onto Papa, then Lima to 50, and that's how you know where you're going. You've also got your arrivals and departures on here, and you've got your instrument approaches. So these are the instrument approach charts for 08. Well, 08. Oh no, 08 right. Yeah, very rarely in use at Gatwick because of the prevailing winds, but it is there should you need it. And you got your arrival chart. So if you get given the Lambourne 1 Zulu, departure for example, you get given the Lambourne 1 Zulu for 08 right. You can see Lam for Lambourne 1 Zulu. So we're going to click that. Gone on the wrong flipping one. Hang on, not the coding table. We want the Lambourne. My eyes have now gone crooked. Lambourne 1 Zulu, there it is. Then we can see we fly out on runway heading above 2,000 feet. So this is your route if you're going to do instrument stuff. And you can play about with that. You can see Lambourne 1 Zulu there. There's also other stuff, so there's useful information here where you've got potential conflicts. Doesn't really matter for us in the pretend world. The other one that might be useful is the ATC surveillance minimum altitude chart. You get this on every airfield. When you pull this up, it gives you the outline of the air traffic zone. So when you're in this ring, you are in Gatwick's airspace. Okay. As long as you're below 2,200 feet or 2,300 feet, whatever. So this is what you need to know. It also has, or often has, the visual reference points. So you've got Parham, you've got Deanland. These are the new ones that I don't think are on FSX yet for the VRPs. You've got a VOR there. We've done video on that. So the symbol, that's a VOR DME, which is Ockham. Same with Midhurst, Mayfield, Biggin. So they're on there. You've got Goodwood, which is a VRP. So this might be useful for getting your bearings once you're up in the air. So I'm going to dock that back into there. So we're now connected to VATSIM, we're connected, okay? But at the moment, we're not on the right frequency, okay? We're at whatever frequency the default is, which tells you here on COM1 128.3, that's what we're currently on. Now you can go and change this in the aircraft, or you can do a command in VATSIM, in vPilot, which is dot, so every command starts with a dot, .com1 122.8. Would put us onto Unicom. We don't actually want that. We want Gatwick ground, don't we? Which is 121.8. Can you see that here? Gatwick ground 121.8. So .com1 121.8. Okay, you see that's now changed up in the top corner, and we should start hearing him chatting when he chats. Oops. Now, at this point, if you're very new and you don't know what you're doing, I suggest right-clicking the ground, open a private chat, and then send him a message. You can send whatever you want to him. Obviously, don't send him offence because you're going to get...
If you need quits, contact Gatwick Director. 126.2 for pushback clearance and taxi. Have a good night, guys. Bye-bye.
And you can chat in here just like it's MSN, God, flipping out, show me AJ, WhatsApp or whatever. And you can say to them, look, I'm new, you know, can you give me a heads up, or give me a bit of extra talking when you do your messages, because this is my first time or second time or whatever. I'm not confident. And they will take that into account. And they'll know when you call them up on the radio, they will go, oh, it's this guy. I'm not going to talk fast and abbreviate. I'm going to give you nice and slow, and I'm going to talk you through it. They're all good guys. They will all be more than happy to help if they know that you need the help. If they don't know that you need the help, then they've got to try and guess. And quite often, you know, we live in a world of trolls. They will assume you're or they might assume you're a troll if you're not doing the right thing. Whereas if you've already spoken to them, they go, oh no, he's not a troll, he's just new. Right, fine, I'm going to spell it out to him, help him out, and get him good, or her good. So, yeah. Now, typically, Gatwick Ground has now just gone offline. Okay, you can see they're no longer listed. So you go to the next highest one up, okay, until you hit a point where there is actually no one in charge of Gatwick's airspace. So therefore you go to Unicom, which is the global chat, which is 122.8. At this point, we do actually have Gatwick Approach on. So they will, it's called a top-down system. They will cover everything below them if there is no one on below them. So Gatwick Approach will also cover tower, ground, clearance. Okay. Now, Heathrow Tower, for example, will not cover approach and centre. It's only top down, so they will only cover those positions below them. Because we now don't have Gatwick Ground on, we'll go to the next highest, which is EGKK Approach. So Gatwick Director, 126.825. So .com1 126.82, or you can key in 825. For some weird reason, VATSIM doesn't do the third decimal place. Technically, the third decimal place, whenever you've got a 2 there in the second, is always a 5. It's 825 or 725. Has he just gone offline as well? Brilliant. But that doesn't matter. It's clever enough to work out. If you don't key in the third decimal place, it knows what you're on about. So you don't have to worry too much about that. So I think... No, Gatwick Approach hasn't gone off. My battery's just died because I'm in a Spitfire that has no flipping battery life in it. So I'm going to reselect the aircraft and reconnect. So reselecting the aircraft basically refreshes the aircraft in FSX, so therefore it recharges my battery. Right, while that's loading, give me 2 ticks. Gonna stick some food in the oven, but it turns out after half a glass of wine I'm not actually that hungry, so there we go, we're back in. We get a ping pong. And this is highlighted in blue, which means you're connected, okay? Alright, so next you want to do a flight plan. Okay, right, let's take you through this. So we click flight plan. You're going to choose what type of flight you're doing, IFR or VFR. Ignore the next two, they're not relevant anymore, really. When a time comes that you understand about it, then they might be relevant. They're pretty much not relevant in the UK. DVFR is a military thing that really isn't used, and SVFR is civvy. Again, it isn't used in the UK really at all. Destination airport, it's the ICAO code again. So Gatwick, Manchester, you can key in an alternate if you want, and all the rest of it is just information to the air traffic controller. It doesn't have to be perfectly accurate, but the better it is, then the more it helps them help you. Heavy aircraft, we don't really bother with that in Europe. Equipment suffix, Google VATSIM equipment suffix. That will tell you, it will pull up a list. In fact, let's do it. Right, so I've just Googled VATSIM equipment suffix. First hit, choose an equipment code. Pulls you the VATSIM website. Scroll down and we get the list of suffixes /H, W, Z, yada yada yada. RVSM, reduced virtual separation, visual separation minimum. So basically, new plane, old plane, right? New plane, old plane. GNSS or GPS. GNSS is GPS. For want of a better description. So if you've got GPS, but you have no ability to fly using the GPS, then it's going to be H pretty much. That doesn't happen. It's going to be L. More often than not, your transponder code will be L, Lima. I'm Alpha, so if we look at that, that is this one. So it's that we have a DME, so we have distance measuring. We don't have RVSM, because we're in an old plane. Google RVSM, it explains what it means. And we have a transponder with mode sim. Actually, that's crap. We don't have DME and we don't have a transponder, so we should be /X. So I'm going to change that to X. File, send and receive if you're using voice. Route if you're doing an IFR route. If you're doing VFR, you don't need to do that. Any remarks, that's basically any notes you want to add for the community to see. File flight plan. Bosh, flight plan filed. Right, now we are ready to talk to air traffic control. So what I'm going to do is first sort my stream out. I'm going to kill the center screen. Go, so that looks good. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for this VFR flight. And I'm going to get in the flow of it, so I might not be able to talk you through it as much as I want to do. So I do apologise, but smash something in the comments if there is something that you want to know. I'm going to get my lung burner ready to roll. Don't do it, bad for your health. Usual jazzle. I'm going to have a look at the ATIS. Oh, something I probably didn't explain that I will show you. So you've got ATIS, Traffic Information Service. So Gatwick ATIS. If I just double click this, rather than keying into the frequency, it prints it as text to the screen. So we've got information Bravo, time that it was delivered. Remember that's Zulu time, not British summer time. Again, if you don't know what Zulu time is, Google it. It tells us the runway in use, the frequency, the transition level is 70. The surface wind, ignore that, that's an error message. You won't get. CAVOC, again, Google it. ATIS CAVOC, its ceiling and visibility is okay. Temperature 27 degrees, dew point 14. Again, if you don't know what dew point is, it's the temperature at which the water will condense in the air and form mist or fog. QNH, that's important, that's your pressure. Advise aircraft type on first contact. Okay, cool, right, we can do that. QNH is 1015. So I'm going to go down to here. So we've got 1030 keyed in at the moment. So 1015 is about there. Okay, 100, 101, 102, so 1015. Not bang in the middle. Also, if you flicking backwards and forwards there as I sort of think of things that I take for granted. If you're not sure what to call them, again, double click the name. I told you here, Gatwick Director. So not Gatwick approach, which is what it says here. It's Gatwick director is what he wants to be called. You will hear that if you just sit and listen on the channel for a moment. Yeah, Wine Tonight Storm. Yes, Castillo di Diablo. Probably just murdered the pronunciation of that. One of my favourite French wines, actually. Yes, we're on the Vino. So, should we get rolling? I think we should. I'm going to get a piece of paper ready and a pen. Really important. Right? Get ready before you call up. Gatwick Director, good evening. Spitfire with message.
Spitfire, Gatwick Director, pass your message.
Oh, my battery's just died. Oh, you suck. So you heard the ping pong. That was the battery on the Spit dying again because I'm an idiot. So, again, being, you know, part of the community, I've just sent him a private message in vPilot. So let's show you this because this is good. So what I did is I right-clicked, open private chat, and I just told him aircraft battery just died, will reload, 1 minute. My apologies. Spelt horrendously, but that's fine because he replied, no worries, spelt horrendously as well. That's fine. He now knows he's not there trying to get in touch with us and can't because our battery's dead. He now knows what the situation is and he's not thinking, oh, what's this nutter up to, causing us issues. You know, be open, be transparent. If people understand the situation, they can't see your sim. They don't know that your battery's just died. They just know that they've called you and nothing's happened. So I'm just going to listen for a moment, make sure I'm not butting in over everyone. Gatwick Director, hello again. Apologies for that. Spitfire with message.
Spitfire, pass your message.
Spitfire, we're at Maintenance Area North, Information Bravo, QNH 1015, looking for a VFR departure to the east, please.
Spitfire, Heathrow Direction, Gatwick Director, Roger, clear Gatwick Control Zone to the northwest, and not above 1,500 feet VFR, school 3750.
Clear to leave the Gatwick control zone at the northwest, not above 1,500 feet VFR, and 3750 in the box for Spitfire.
Spitfire, correct.
Right, okay.
So,
important, have notes, because you're not going to remember that. And if you do, for the readback, you're not going to remember it now to key in the squawk. Now, Spitfire doesn't have a transponder, so I'm having to do this virtually through vPilot. So .sq 3750. Okay, so that means we're now on correct squawk, so he can see us. Well, you can see our information. Clear to leave the zone via the northwest then, so that's up towards Dorking. And we're ready for engine start. We've not been told we can start the engine, you've got to ask for that. And Director Spitfire ready for startup, please.
Spitfire, starts approved, QNH 1015.
Start approved, 1015, Spitfire. Okay, so we can get the engine started. Let's do that before our battery flipping dies again. So in the Spitfire, we're going to go fuel pump on. We're going to go and throw the pen over the floor. We're going to feather the prop, fully rich, prime the engine, and then start. Make sure you've got your feet on the brakes, or your parking brake is on if you're using, doing that. And then I can kill the fuel pump, we don't need that for the moment. Okay, right, so at this point, what I've got on my second screen here, or you can print out if you prefer, is the taxi chart. Again, let me show you. So I've got this map up, because now I'm going to ask for taxi, okay? What's really useful is when he's telling you all this jazz and saying, oh, taxi to Charlie 1 or Delta 1 or Bravo 1 or whatever, via Juliet 0, yada yada, it's useful to be able to look at the map and go, okay, so I'm here, he wants me to go there, there, there. And it's there right in front of you. Or you can write it down, read it back, and then look. That works as well, but personally, I find it easier.
So if you do the next left onto Mike, hold up Mike 1.
Now, most departures out of Gatwick will go from Alpha 3 or Alpha 2. They don't use Alpha 1 anymore. That's a peculiarity, don't worry about it. But they will go from here, because they're jets, and they need a big long runway. I don't. I'm in a Spitfire. Similarly, if you're in a 152, whatever. If you don't think you need the full runway and don't therefore want to use the full runway, you can advise when you ask for taxi that you can go from, for example, Delta 1. Now the air traffic controller may say, right, taxi to Alpha 3, Alpha 2. Okay, and do that and override you. They might say, oh, well, I don't want you going from Delta 1, but you can go from Charlie 1 and might taxi to that. Or they might give you Delta 1. They're likely to give you the place you ask for, but not always. This just helps you basically push in front of the queue. No other reason, really. But it's what you would do in real world anyway. And pushing in front of the queue is actually good for everyone. One, it gets you out of his airspace, which is good. It's another happy customer. And two, it gets you out of his airspace like today and not tomorrow if there's a big queue. So, you know, everyone's a winner, baby. Let's do that. And Director Spitfire ready for taxi, and we can go from Delta 1 if it helps.
Spitfire straight, taxi Tango 08 left, hold Delta 1.
Tango 08 left and then hold at Delta 1 for Spitfire, thanks. Okay, you don't have to say thank you. In fact, actually, you're encouraged not to because it takes up radio time. I've just got politeness in my head, so flip the lights on. Props feathered, which is why we've got no thrust, so let's just give it a bit of thrust. There we are. I'm going to open the canopy just so, and stick my head out the window. You can stick your head out the window anyway and you'll just clip through it. It just gives a little element of realism. If you're on plan G, you can hit connect, and then you can zoom in. So you can get a live moving map of where you are. That may or may not help you. Bearing in mind it's laggy as hell, so it may hinder you. You may just want to use a map and compass. If I'm talking too quiet, by the way, do shout, because I'm still not fully used to the this microphone. And you know, if my sound levels need changing or whatever, then again, shout. I do watch back my videos, not, well, I watch a little bit back every now and then, just to make sure it's not too bad, but obviously it's too late at that point. So I'm just going to keep the taxiway centreline, or runway centreline in this case, just in vision, just because I'm a tail dragger. Normally you would taxi straight down the centre line, but I can't see it. So this is the best we can do.
30, Juliet 780 departure.
Delta 1's coming up here. I know that. I don't need to look at the signs. Don't trust the signs. I know that because I've seen the map. And I've got that map in front of me and I know it's this turning as the runway gets smaller. So it's as we hit the threshold of the runway. And then Delta 1...
5 behind the departing, fly the Embraer 170 on your left hand side, line up 26 left behind, there'll be a 3-minute delay.
Roger, behind the departing aircraft, line up 26 left behind Spitfire. Okay, so that was a conditional clearance. Thanks, Tom. This is something that you might get at a busy airfield. You'll notice that air traffic controller said, he said Spitfire, so call sign, always the start, behind the departing Embraer 152. I don't know what that is, but anyway, it's departing 26 left, line up and wait, behind. So he says behind at the start and end of the message. It is critical that if you get a conditional clearance, so i.e. behind, oh, it is. Yeah, it's an old school Embraer prop. YB. Lovely. That you also say behind at the start and end of your readback to the air traffic controller. That is a safety thing. They need to know that you have 100% understood that it is a conditional clearance. You can't line up and wait. You can only line up and wait behind the departing aircraft. You can't just pull out in front of them, for example. Again, if you look on the VATSIM website, there's everything I'm explaining to you is in the manual, and it just sit down one evening. Don't expect to fly that evening. Sit down on your phone or tablet or whatever and just flick through it. You know, read it. Don't read it in minute detail, just know that you've seen it, and then when it comes up you go, oh, I vaguely remember some of this, and then you know where to go and look it up so you can familiarise yourself. You can always say to the controller, for example, if I didn't quite know what he said there, I'd say, my apologies, new to the channel, or new to that sim, mind if I hold position and look it up in the book? And he'll say, Spitfire, hold position, let me know when you're ready. And then you sit there until you are ready. And that is brilliant. Be clear as you can. He's also, very good controller here. Louis a very good controller. He said 3-minute delay. Reason for this is he has to ensure that we don't take off right up his arse, because we're actually quite quick in a Spitfire, and he's aware that we're quick. Any other light aircraft, he probably would have not given us a 3-minute delay. Because we're not going to catch him up. But because we're in a Spitfire that can do 300 knots, quite happily, he knows that. He's gone, oh, actually, no. I don't want him catching him up, so I'm going to make him hold until he's far enough away, and then I'll take him off, because he could catch him up if he wanted to. But I keep saying he, they. Need more wine, clearly.
Jersey 87 Yankee, climb flight level 1. Climb flight level 180.
180, Jersey.
We were just sitting here, because that's what we were told to do. So I'm going to sit here. All we need to do. If you're doing the wrong thing, they'll bloody let you know. Don't worry, they will let you know if you're doing the wrong thing. But if you just sit there, and that's what you've been told to do, then you're showing up on his screen, and you're doing what he wants you to do, everyone's happy. The only slight downside, or like weirdness to this is the fact that we're actually taking off VFR when the sun's gone down. Technically isn't legal, but yeah, that's in. We can do what we want. It's fine. So not every controller will let you know that there's going to be a delay on takeoff, so you might be sat here, you know, chewing on your flipping fingernails. Louis was really good. He let us know, and because he let us know that there was going to be a delay, we know the full story. And as I keep saying, that works both ways. You know, you get to the hold and say, you know, Spitfire is at Delta 1. We're going to need a couple of minutes before departure because you need to sort all your stuff out, get your windows up and get your charts up. They'll say, okay, advise when ready. And they won't nag you.
Spitfire, I'm just going to keep you there for a minute or so. There appears to be some kind of new pilot nosediving into 08 right.
Yeah, no dramas at all. We're happy to wait until you're ready, Spitfire. Again, excellent communications. Lets us know what the crack is. Can't ask for more than that. Yeah, I can see him on VatSpy. So VatSpy is really useful to have. Again, freeware software. I can see. Oh no, it's not that chap. Sorry, I thought it was this guy. Who's done a really weird departure out of Heathrow. I don't know why he's come that way and not over sort of, but
Shows the 87 Yankee redirect over Delta Victor Romeo and Monty Unicorn, Monty 2.
But he said there's a new pilot coming in on 08 right. I'm not quite. Yeah, 4,000 feet.
Right, so now right, Unicorn, thanks for the service.
Yeah, it is this chap because he shouldn't be there. I only know that because I understand the airspace around here, and I know that you shouldn't be there at that height. But I know that because I'm good at this. I've done this enough times to know that you don't fly there unless you're landing at this airport in that direction. Ironically, Heathrow Director was on. Matthew Burton is pretty good as well. So that should have been avoided in theory, but I don't know. I'm not listening in, so I can't judge. But that's fine. And he's let us know what the crack is. He says, oh, there's a new pilot. He didn't say, oh, there's some absolute knobhead here who doesn't know what he's doing. You know, that's not the way this system works. First time I flew on here, right, I picked an airfield that had 0 ATC on, that had 0 traffic, and I just flew on this and just made sure it all worked. And I did that for weeks until I plucked up the courage and spawned at, I think it was Manchester, and I was completely overwhelmed. The first time it was...
Spitfire, just ignore. Clear for takeoff, surface wind 220 degrees of 4 knots.
Roger the ignore, clear for takeoff, 26 left for Spitfire, thank you. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. Yeah, fine, okay. Oh, I know. We might want to close the canopy. Well, shit. Right, so we'll give it the beans. We're fully rich. Yeah, lovely. Happy days. Yeah, new pilot doesn't quite know what he's doing. Keyed in the wrong thing. Fine. The controllers can send you a private message just like you can send them a private message. So, you know, if you're not getting a flood of private messages from controllers saying, oh, you should be doing this, then you're not doing anything wrong. Or you're not causing anyone hassle. So, I think that was a good thing.
Spitfire, call sign in, which service you require outside controlled airspace. I don't think your plane has it, but which service you require outside controlled airspace.
That's all right, we can do ident through vPilot and just a basic service, please, and we'll go up towards Dorking, Spitfire.
Spitfire, roger, you can control airspace 4 miles, basic service.
Roger, basic service in 4 miles, Spitfire, thanks. Getting too high. 1,500 was the order. Right, you know, no one gets it perfect. They should. Don't get me wrong, they should. I'm not making excuses for myself, but I saw my mistake and I went, oh crap, and I've corrected it very quickly. Back down to 1,500 feet. Or 1,400, just give me a buffer for when I'm not paying attention. That's because I didn't have the aircraft trimmed, which I'm always banging on about as being really, really important. I'm going to pull the throttle back. I'm going to pull the RPM back, not that much. And the mixture. Okay, so we're good here. Cool. So people make mistakes. He will have seen straight away that we just smashed through 2,000 feet. And he would have gone, I'll give him 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And then he's seen me go, and then conform. And now he's just going to go, oh, okay, fine, not a problem. So he's not sent me a message or, you know, come over voice and said, don't forget 1,500 feet, matey. So we're now outside controlled airspace. I know that because of Plan G. Don't worry too much about basic service, radar service, stuff like that. Google it. Well, it's on the VATSIM website as well. Or, if you're not sure, then ask. You know, ask in the chat or whatever, and I'll happily explain what the difference between basic service, radar services, and so on. Now, we're doing quite a tight turn here because we were given departure by the northwest of the Gatwick zone, which is slightly inconvenient. I'd have preferred to get via the east. Excuse me, scratching my mandate. Which would have meant we could have stayed in circuit, but we had to leave the zone. So that line on the chart that I showed you before, we've got to leave the zone via the northwest. That's what he told me. So I had to leave the zone and then I can fly wherever I want. So let's show you what I'm doing. So we left the zone here via the northwest. That's this blue line here. That's the zone. I told him, because I'm good like that, that we'll head up towards Dorking. It's like, well, that's pretty much where I'm going. Okay. So again, giving him more information than he needs, just so it makes things easier for both of us. If you don't know what you're going to do, then don't say it, and that's fine. But now we're outside controlled airspace, I can do what I want. Now, there are these red lines. Yeah. If I right click, it says Class A, 2,000 feet plus London TMA. So that means I can fly below 2,000 feet without being in controlled airspace. Okay, so the bottom end is 2,500 feet because that is the first number in when I right click there. So I can fly around this area below 2,500 feet. If we were going to go into Heathrow zone, notice this red. If I right click here, it says SFC surface to 2,000 feet. So that means anywhere from ground level up, and then actually you're into the London TMA anyway. So you can't even enter that zone VFR. You're not allowed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly around it. We could fly, so this is London City. If I right click here, yeah, surface to 2,500 feet. So we can't enter here unless we're instrument flight rules, IFR. And we filed the flight plan that's been approved, yada, yada, yada. If you don't know what I'm on about, then you've not done it. And you're not doing it. Okay. So we're going to stay outside there. You'll see we're going to cross a red line around about here. So we'll right click again. So that gives us up to 3,500 feet. So we get another 1,000 feet once we cross this line. But we're going to head up towards Stansted. Okay, so 2,500 again here. So that means I might as well just stay below 2,500. When I hit this area, it's surface to 3,500. So at this point, I'm in Stansted zone. So that means I'm going to have to call up Stansted Tower. Now, realistically, well, you're not allowed to enter the zone without permission. So I can't get to the zone and then call up and ask for permission because I have momentum. We're going to enter the zone. So I'm going to call up before I get to the zone. Still in radio range, so that's fine, and say, can I have permission to enter your zone? Surface 2,500 or 3,500, whatever it was. I'm going to tell him where I am and where I intend to enter the zone at. Just like leaving Gatwick just then, we were told where to leave the zone and what height to follow. Now we're outside of that, we can do what we want within those limits that I've just shown you on the chart. So we're flying over Biggin Hill here. We're going to do the same but inverse as we do a transit of Stansted. So we're going to say where we intend on entering the zone. He's going to then, or she is then going to come back to us and basically say either, yeah, we can enter the zone, or no, we can't. If it's no, we can't, okay, Storm, then fine. But if it's a yes, we can, they're going to say where we can enter the zone, which may not necessarily be at the same point you've asked. More often than not, it will be, but not always. They'll have your map. And they'll give you some altitude restrictions, maybe a speed restriction, so on and so forth. So this is where you need your pen and paper so you can scribble it all down. Then you can read it back, make sure what you scribbled down was correct, so that's the point of the read back, and then you can look at your map and go, right, okay, so what does that mean I need to do? That's and Bettling, they were the departures I was trying to think of before. It's 2,500, so we can't go above that, so I'm just going to make sure we're not. Just going around London City airspace. London City airfield's up there, I think, there. So we're just staying away from that. Again, I'm looking at Plan G. I've hit connect, hit that sim, so I know that I'm staying outside of these marks. It's laggy, but bear that in mind, because FSX only outputs information every few seconds. And when you're doing, what, 275 knots, you know, a couple of seconds is quite a good distance. Right, okay. So Stansted, EGSS, tower is still on. No, they are not. Yes, Stansted Tower is still on. 123.8. I've not been told I can leave this frequency yet. Okay. So I've not been told I can leave this frequency. In theory, when I leave their area of observation, because they can't control. That's quite funny. Then, you know, they might push the boundaries a little bit because they're providing a service to us. They're not controlling us because we're in a basic service, not a radar service. Again, that's only important if you understand the difference between basic service, radar service, traffic service. Again, Google it or slam it in the comments and I will answer. So we're crossing the Thames now. Well, we've just crossed the Thames. So I pretty much know that we're well outside Gatwick zone here. Gatwick Director Spitfire requesting frequency change, please.
Spitfire full 7,000, frequency change approved. Good morning.
7,000 and frequency change approved. Thank you very much for the ATC. See you soon, Spitfire.
Good morning.
Right, okay, so I'm now going to move over to Stansted Tower 123.8. Alright, we get the ping ping ping, which is the disconnect, and da 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 da, which is the connect to a frequency. You only get that if you join a frequency. So I'm currently 10 miles southeast of Epping. Stansted Tower, good evening, Spitfire with message, please.
Spitfire, Stansted Tower, follow message.
Evening, Spitfire is currently 10 miles southeast of Epping, 2,000 feet on 1015, requesting zone entry for a transit south to north, please.
Spitfire, roger. Click enter the control zone via the Epping VRP. Total altitude 1,500 feet, VFR, QNH 106, squawk 7414.
Clear to enter the zone via the Epping VRP, not above 1,500 feet VFR, on QNH 1016 and 7414 in the box for Spitfire.
Spitfire, correct. Report visual with field.
Roger, we'll report visual with field, Spitfire. So, okay, we're going to turn towards Epping, which actually turns us more onto the departure lane for Stansted. Now, because Stansted's at a bit of a funny angle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to effectively fly a downwind leg. So we need to change our QNH. It's 1016 now. So it's about there. So not a big change. Got to stay below 1,500 feet. So something interesting there that you probably, well, might not have noticed, apologies if you did, is that the tower hesitated before he gave us the orders. Reason being, very, very few people fly VFR. Very few. I've never heard another aircraft ask for a transit. This is one of the cool things on VATSIM that I find quite cool, is that you can do stuff that is not the norm. Most people fly airliner crap. You know, I like doing that, you know that from my channel. But it's quite nice to do something different. And this is the bread and butter flying, but on VATSIM, bread and butter flying is airliner. Not, you know, a stick, some control surfaces on the wing, and air. So it's quite nice, and the controllers love it as well, and you quite often get a message from a controller after you've left the zone and you're out of the way saying, oh, thank you very much for doing that. I never get the opportunity to do, you know, transits. No one ever asks for them, so thank you very much for doing it. And quite often that might be instigated by me saying, thank you for letting me do the transit. That was really, really good. I enjoyed it. Quite simple. And Tower Spitfire, we have the field in sight. Sorry, that was military. Could say Spitfire at the end.
Spitfire, route towards Great Dunmore and hold.
Towards Great Dunmore and then hold Spitfire. Right, okay, so I've just zoomed in on the chart. Great Dunmow is pretty much due east of the field. So we're in his airspace. He's in charge of this aeroplane, not me. That's really important. Apart from an emergency, that's different. But he's in charge of this this aeroplane. So he said go towards Great Dunmow, which I can see on my map. And I don't know this place. I only know it because I just panicked, zoomed in on the map to go where the hell's he on about. And he said go there and hold. So we're going to do an orbit. Don't forget 1,500 feet ceiling. Can't go above it. So we've got to do that. He said that's what we've got to do. We're in his space, so that's what we're going to do. We have to. I'm looking at VPilot. I'm missing this by a country mile, so I'm just going to stab at the stick as much as you dare. Not how you fly an aeroplane. If you've ever flown for real, you'll know that doing this, well, it's not actually possible, because you get a physical resistance that means you can't do this, and this isn't a force feedback joystick, obviously. But yeah, you can't physically do that. But if you could, you would be seasick very, very quickly. Great Dunmow. So Great Dunmow, I think, is this town here that I can just see the lights for. Just off the right of the nose here, literally, just see this cluster of lights. That must be a town or village because it's a cluster of lights. And the reason being that he's not giving us transit is because we've got this aircraft here. I can see his lights. I've also got the tags turned on. I can see it's an Emirates Boeing 777. It's coming from Birmingham.
Spitfire, traffic information, Boeing 777 on short final.
We have the traffic, Spitfire. So I've said we've got the traffic because I can see him. I've already seen him. If I hadn't seen him, you cannot say we have the traffic. You would say whatever you want to say to make sure that the air traffic controller knows that you haven't seen them. So traffic not seen, we'll keep a lookout for the 777 on short final or whatever.
Emirates 412, Central Tower. Tower 412, this is the established short final. Emirates 412, runway 22, clear land, surface wind 110.
That's a late landing clearance. That's not the controller's fault, actually. 412, Emirates 412 should have contacted him. But then, that's him. So we've been told to hold at Great Dunmow. So that's what we're doing. We're just going to keep flying around here. This is possibly a slightly tighter turn than we need to do. But hell, we're in a Spitfire. So we're going to kick the arse out of it because we can. I might even put a bit of rudder in. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Right now, 64 November Whiskey, start the tower hold position.
Hold position right there.
So there's a bit of traffic here now. Makes the transit a bit harder. Well, no, it doesn't make the transit harder. Well, it does for the controller. Because he's got to slot us in now. But when we do our transit, it's just fly over the airfield.
Right now, 64 November Whiskey, behind you, landing Emirates, Boeing 777, man point, runway 22 behind.
Right, so he's been given a conditional clearance. We've talked about that. I've just smashed well through 1,500 feet, so I'm going to punch the nose down.
Transit design by the runway 22 front, knots below 800 feet, QNH 1016.
Clear for the transit via the 22 threshold, not below 800 feet on 1016 Spitfire. So I'm going to give it the beams. I can see the threshold. This is easy at night because I can see the runway lights. So the threshold is the start of this runway. That's 22. If it was the other way, it'd be 06, of course. I'm going to give it the beams just so I don't. I don't need to.
That was 412, stamp there. Upper stamp the ground 121.725 per day.
And I've just gone below 800 feet, so I'm an idiot. But I'm going to give it the beans because I've already heard, because I've been listening in, that there's someone lining up and waiting. So there's someone waiting to take off. Why trundle over if I am confident enough as a pilot to give it the beans, get out of the way so this other chap can take off? If you're not confident, then don't. But you are like myself. So the controller's seen me. He's seen me cross the threshold because he's just given a takeoff clearance to the guy behind me. Wouldn't have done that if he didn't know where I was. Right, we've got all kinds of air traffic on at Manchester. So we did ask for a south to north, so we're going to pull it round towards the north now. Because that's what we asked for. So notice you fly right over the top of the field.
Going to leave the control zone by the Audi and VRP.
Clear to leave the zone by the orderly VRP. Thank you very much for that. That was really good, Spitfire.
Spitfire, thank you. Report overhead orderly end.
Roger, will report overhead orderly end, Spitfire. So again, need the map up to know where orderly end is. And you know, with the clarity of voice, I'm not familiar. I've never heard of orderly end before. I thought he said Alderley Edge, which is in Manchester, and I was really confused. But very quickly, hovering over Plan G, I found the VRP that was right in front of me, which happened to be the Alderley End one, because he's only going to give us one that's convenient for it. It's very unlikely that he isn't going to give us one that's convenient. So I very quickly went, Alderley End. Oh, that's what he said. So that's what he means. So, you know, I can't hear any better than you're hearing now. And tower, Spitfires overhead, Alderley End. I'm going to pull it round to the north.
Spitfire, leaving control surface. 7,000, 60 change approved.
7,000 and over to Unicom. Thank you very much for that, sir. Cheers. Good night, Spitfire. Okay, so
Thank you, good night.
7 oh bollocks. .sq 7,000 .com1 122.8 because we're now outside controlled airspace, so we're over to Unicom. So I am going to up the prop pitch, well, the RPM to 2800. I'm just going to bring the throttle back into the good zone. And there we go, so we're now full power. And we're going to head up, so we're currently going due north more or less, so 360 on compass, heading straight up towards Cambridge. When we hit Cambridge, we're going to swing it northwest over towards, well, yeah, south of Peterborough, Uppingham, Market Harbour, that sort of area, Wellingborough maybe. Or Wellingborough. Wellingborough's no bloody near there, is there? And then over towards Leicester, pretty much, is what I'm aiming for. East Mids, we do a transit of East Mids if East Mids was on, but it's not, so we'll just what's the rest with you? Well, yeah. London Control North is on. So in theory we should contact London Control North to transit East Mids because it's that top down thing. This is me, right? You should. I've looked on VATSpy and there is no traffic anywhere near East Mids, nor going in or nor going out of East Mids. So I see I've made the decision that there is no reason for me to request a transit of East Mids. I'm just going to do it. So, yeah. I might get a contact. I might get a private message from London North saying, contact me, you're about to enter controlled airspace. Or he might look at his radar and go, he's about to enter East Mids airspace. This is Cambridge coming up, by the way. You can just see the approach lights. But there's no traffic at East Mids, so I'm going to let him crack on. Purely depends on how bored he is, really. She is. No, it's a he. It's Zach Pratt. So they're well within the right to say you need to contact me because I should have contacted them. But you might take a look and go, you know what? I'm controlling other aircraft in the frequency. There's nothing at East Mids. I'm just going to let him crack on. And, of course, it also helps. We've got a trolling call sign. So we talked about this before. Spitfire. It's not a trolling call sign, but it's a call sign that is not normal. It's not Speedbird something. Not EasyJet something. Ryanair something. It's a word. All military call signs are words. And people look at them and go, this is someone playing Harambe 1 or whatever. So I will be being looked at. However, London North will have just seen me depart Gatwick under ATC. He will have seen me just do a transit, a proper transit, over the Stansted control zone. He may even be in communications. The controllers tend to all be on TeamSpeak together, like Discord, but older. So he may say, oh, have you just had this Spitfire guy? Yeah, he just did a proper transit, he did all this, and he did the transit proper, VP was great. All those problems, oh, okay, fine, right. I'm going to make a decision now. This guy clearly knows what he's doing. He's not being a knob. I'm just going to let him crack on. Right, that's what I'm expecting. Might not happen, I'm prepared for it. What might happen is, this guy's not particularly confident, or I'm bored, I want to talk to someone. That's probably the most likely, actually. You know, I want to chat to someone. So they'll send you a contact me. That actually makes the situation for me easier because it means I'm then controlled. So I don't have to think about where I'm going. I don't have to look at that. I just look at my compass. I'm pointing at a screen that you can't see me pointing at. So you just do what you're told, and it makes it easier because you don't have to navigate. It's basically you're under sat-nav, but from a person telling you. The third case is this guy is a troll. I'm going to tell them to avoid our airspace, yada yada yada. Unless you're a troll, you're not going to get that. Even if you're the most non-confident person who's getting everything wrong, you're still not a troll. And it is really obvious to know if someone is, you know, mucking up because they don't know what they're doing, or they're trying but they're not getting it right, versus someone who's doing it intentionally. It's very, very, very obvious. And someone who's doing it intentionally will basically just get kicked. That's the end of it. If you're getting it all wrong and you're trying and you keep getting shouted at, you won't get shouted at, but if you are getting shouted at, you know, worst case scenario, then the people will, if you've not been kicked, then it's because people are trying to help you out. And they want you to have a successful flight because you're going to connect again. Well, two things are going to happen. Either you're going to connect again and be shit, or you'll never connect again and we've just lost someone from the community. And that's... neither of those situations are good. So, what's the solution? Well, you either continue and we guide you through it, and you learn and you get a little bit better. So you leave the air traffic zone, ATZ, a bit better than you entered it, in which case learning has happened, and the next time you enter an ATZ, you're a little bit better. Win, that's good, that's what we like. Or you lose confidence, you disconnect, but you feel like, actually, I'm going to give this a bit of practice offline or whatever, or I'm just going to respawn, reconnect, and I know that the person who's talking to me, who's controlling me, isn't trying to pee me off. I'm not upsetting them. I'm just giving them, more to do because I'm not familiar with this. But they're more than happy to accept me into their environment, and that's really what it's all about. My first ever lesson, so I went through the training for the P1 qualification, Pilot 1 qualification, with VAT UK. And I'd flown on VAT Sim, I don't know, 5 times, just in the grob around East Midlands. I'd done nothing. And I'd only ever done that with no air traffic control. I got on the ground, and I'm trying to think who the hell it was. It was a young lad. He's an air cadet as well, and it's bugging me that I can't remember his blooming name. He's an air cadet. He knew I'm an officer in the RAF Air Cadets, so I'm sir to him, he salutes and all the rest of it. Irrelevant. He's far better at this than I am. Miles better. So he was calling me sir. I said, look, I can't for the life of me remember what his blooming name was, and it's really bugging me. I said, look, we're not air cadets, we're here, I'm a student, you're the instructor, that's what's important, you teach me. He says, right, okay. And he says, we're going to do a flight, Manchester down to Gatwick. I went, right, okay, fine. And he says, so have you got a flight plan? I went, what's one of them? Genuinely, I had no idea. I didn't know what a flight plan was, let alone what a SID or a STAR was, standard instrument departure, standard terminal arrival route. Genuinely, I didn't know, right? Nor did I have a payware aircraft or an aircraft that was not the default, basically the default 737. I think we did it in the Learjet actually, in the end. And so I'm battling with the FSX GPS, which is, once you get good at it, it's meh. But when you're not good at it, it's terrible. But even when you are good at it, it's still only meh. The Airbus, the Aerosoft Airbus A series, the extended stuff, I can't remember what it cost, 30 quid, 40 quid, well worth it. You just tell you what, stuff was well easy. You just go, oh, it's the ADMAG 2 X-ray departure. Click, autopilot, done. I would have passed my P1 in seconds. But I didn't even know what he was on about. The point I'm trying to make is I perhaps maybe make this look easy. It's only because I've done it before. A year ago I hadn't. Well, no, 18 months ago I hadn't. And I was probably, and I say this genuinely, I will be would have been worse than you will be connecting if you connect now. Genuinely. I hadn't watched a single YouTube video. I had no idea. I've flown a plane. Don't get me wrong, I did my gliding scholarship and pilot scholarship. Alright, it was 15 years ago, to show me age. So I can fly a plane, but that isn't really about that. Flying a plane, yeah, okay, you can do all this, fine, whatever. But no one on VATSIM really cares about that. It's more about the flying the routes and your control zones and stuff like that. I did know about them, in that I've got a few mates who have done their PPL, so their private pilot's license, and they've mentioned it about East Midlands. I haven't got a clue what they're on about. Genuinely, didn't have a clue. But I went through it and I went, you know what, I'm going in feet first. And I spoke to the guy at Manchester, I spoke to the chaps at Gatwick and said, look, I've not done this before. Do you mind spelling it out for me? Just to get me off the ground and get me pointing in the general direction of London. And then I'll get in touch with the guys in London and I'll say, right, I'm coming in from the general direction of Manchester. Do you mind walking me in? And they gave me vectors. They said, fly this heading at this height. I went, okay, I can do that. Right, now turn this heading at this height. Right, report visual with the airfield. Oh yes, right, fucking on my nose. You can't miss it because they'd lined me up because they knew I wasn't very good. So they made it so that the thing was right in front of me. I went, oh yeah, it's right in front of me. And I went, right, clear to land. I went, oh, well that wasn't too hard. Just took a bit of communication. Yeah. Sorry, Aura, I've missed your messages. I flew a 7-3 from Iceland to Glasgow. Wow. Didn't check fuel, had a lovely flight, landed on a nice hill north of Glasgow. Yeah, right. I can laugh like a child because, well, my last stream, I ran out of fuel. What was it, 4 times in the Spitfire? Yeah. It happens, doesn't it? It happens. You can call a mayday. Well, you would call a pan min fuel. You can do that on VATSIM. That's fine. Absolutely fine. Not a problem with that. You can call maydays on VATSIM. That's fine as well. Possibly nice to give the controller a little bit of a hoo-ha in text first, so they know it's coming. But you don't have to. You can call them in fuel, and they will direct you straight in if you think you're going to make it. If not, you can actually do the full emergency procedures on VATSIM. Landing in a field, northwest of Glasgow, whatever. They will talk you all the way down until the point you go, yeah, I'm down now, cheers for that, I'm disconnecting. Index, whatever you want to call it. They'll do that if they're not too busy. They love it because it's something different to the normal blah blah blah, clear to land, blah blah blah, boring, yada yada yada. So yeah, you know. But again, communication's the key. So particularly if you see that it is busy as chuff, if it's so busy, then send the guy a flipping message first. Just say, do you mind if I do an emergency procedure practice? Or I'm coming in, I've got bugger all fuel, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Just so you're aware, do you mind if I stay connected to the network and shit might go down? And they'll say, prefer it if you disconnect. Fine, disconnect, carry on with your flight. Or, actually, 10.0 times out of 10, they're going to say, cool, noted, crack on, we'll give you vectors, we'll cut as much of a corner for you as we can possibly do to save your fuel. If shit gets real, then just smash a mayday out, or let me know, or whatever he wants to say. So yeah, all good. So we're currently coming up towards this Melton Mowbray up off the starboard side here. We can see all these lights here. That's Leicestershire. Leicester if you prefer. So we're going to swing it left a little bit, and we'll hopefully fly over the east side of Leicester and then over Lugabaruga, Loughborough. Yeah, it's all good fun. Right, talking of which, I just need to go and water the plant. Excuse me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we're still alive, we're still alive. Oh, this is why trim is good. I'm back, I'm back, I'm back. So, yeah, right. London Control North has just gone off, so actually we can transit East Midlands legitimately now. I was going to do it anyway. So one of my cadets asked, or I think it was them in the comments, asked about setup in terms of hardware. What kit do you need? You know, how good does your computer have to be? It's a hard question to answer. It's very much how long is a piece of string. So if you're going to fly X-Plane 11 or P3D V4, so they're the two best flight sims out there that you can buy. We see the Smids there. Then you can have a rubbish computer and it'll probably work. Well, no, it will work. You probably won't get as good graphics as this, but not much worse. If you get a better graphics card, yeah, you'll be able to crank up the graphics and they won't look quite as blocky as this. You know, like it's only drawing half of the houses. The road just looks like a blur, right? That's because this is rubbish. I have a pretty decent CPU, albeit an old one. It's a very old i7. It is water cooled actually, but it doesn't need to be. This is not processor intensive at the moment. I'm just pulling up Task Manager now. Bearing in mind I'm streaming as well. I'm at about 80% CPU. Most of that is the streaming because I'm doing the transcoding of the stream on my CPU. Basically, because I have a rubbish graphics card, I have a 670, GeForce 670. So it's old as, bloody hell, it's old as hell. And it's not good enough to do the stream and do FSX at the same time. So basically, I've gone, right, GPU, you run FSX, you do that. CPU still is used for FSX, so you can't get around that. CPU, you can handle the stream, okay? So, if I wasn't doing that, my CPU would probably be down at 20%, something like that. To fly. So it's taken a bit of tuning. So with a 670 GeForce graphics card, and it's an MSI one, so it's you know, it's the probably fit as you like one. This can get these graphics. I mean, look at the detail on this. I mean, it is stunning. I mean, it really is. This is. I don't think I've even got anti-aliasing on now because look at the flipping angle there. Look, you can see the cubes. Anyway, that's graphics programming. But yeah, you know, this is on a rubbish graphics card, and this is what I'm getting. Bear in mind, I've got add-ons to give not photorealistic, but better ground scenery here, which is in that video. I'm pretty sure it's in that video. If it's not, please do say, because I think it is. It might not be. Oh, it's Derby power plant. So yeah, you know, and I'm getting what, 21, 23, 25 frames here according to Steam. So that's the game, and that's not the stream. I don't know why. Stream is crap because I'm doing it on the CPU. GPU, yeah. So FSX is heavier on the CPU, so your computer, than it is than FSX. Hang on. FSX is heavier on your CPU than P3D or X-Plane. Right? Reason being is FSX is old. wow, it's an old bit of software. Really, really old. What does that mean? It means that if you've got a really old computer, or you've got a new computer but your budget is minimal, like proper rock bottom, a rock bottom budget now is still as good as, if not better, than a really good budget 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whenever FSX hit its prime, a long time ago anyway. So, you know, a low budget now will perform like this on FSX. E3D and X-Plane are different because they are new. Well, X-Plane 11, should I say. X-Plane 10 runs as good as this, if anything, possibly a little bit better. X-Plane 10. P3D I've not got. I've never tried P3D, but from what I understand about the coding of it, I don't think it would run well on this. It would run with everything cranked down. So, you know. Okay, right. So we're now past Derby. We're coming up towards the Trent VOR. So I'm gonna have to stop chatting doo-doo. Oh, so that's interesting. So that Spy and Plan G are both saying Manchester approaches are. Oh, so's. Oh, Manchester approaches on 12197.com121.97. Oh. Let's try 118-57. I don't know why. So we got the ping pong. None of those say 12197. I don't know why the hell I keyed that in. Right, so we've got Buxton to our north-northwest. 20 miles.
Yeah, 9 Yankee Golf, no further ATC available, longitude call 122.8, bye-bye.
Longitude call 122.8, thanks service for Woody Moonbug.
I'm going to head up towards Buxton then. I can't see the comments. Oh, take care, Storm. Yeah, thank you very much for coming. Oh, it's send the green screen massively dodge. Bye. Cheers.
Shamrock 210 X-ray, you're on frequency.
Shamrock 210
Shamrock 21 Kilo X-ray, Manchester radar, good evening. It's a Mercy 2 Bravo, right all landing, runway 23 right. We're ready to descend flight level 80 left by Mercy.
We're clear to Manchester by the Mercy 2 Bravo arrival, and we're ready to descend flight level 80 Shamrock 210.
Manchester radar, Spitfire with message.
Spitfire Manchester radar, do you require a service outside of controlled airspace?
Basic service would be good, please, and we've got a zone entry request as well, please, Spitfire.
Spitfire, squawk 7350.
7350 Spitfire.
Spitfire, basic service, QNH 1016.
Basic service 1016 Spitfire. So, right, that's interesting. Now, I did warn him off. Oh, that's a military term. I did let him know that we're going to have a zone entry request. Roger, yeah, looking for a zone entry at the Buxton VRP. We're currently at 2,000 feet, 1016. Looking for zone entry for full stop landing, please, at Manchester. Spitfire.
Spitfire, you are clear to enter Manchester control zone via the Buxton VRP, not about altitude 1,500 feet. QNH 1016.
Clear to enter the zone at Buxton, not above 1,500 feet. VFR on 1016 Spitfire. Okay, so this is a good example of Plan G going spaz. It's saying that we're still flying north, although my compass is saying that we're flying due west at the moment, 27. So we're going to drop down to 1,500. This is a bit fruity as we're over the peaks. Anyone who knows Buxton and this area will know 1,500 feet can actually be below ground level. So I'm going to try and refresh Plan G. Right, that worked. Right, okay, so this is Buxton coming up. In fact, I knew that, but yeah, this is Buxton coming up. Good to have a reference. Plan G. On Plan G, sorry. So again, I gave the area controller, sorry, the radar controller more information than they need. But in this case, there was not a lot of radio chatter. So it was okay for me to give them a bit more chat because I'm not I'm not cutting anyone else up. So he now knows exactly what my intentions are. If it was busy, I wouldn't have given him all that information.
I was just checking in.
So it would. So I would therefore wait until he requests that information off me.
Julia, 37 Hotel Charlie, that altitude is not going to affect my airspace at all, so you can continue on using 122 definitely.
That's a 2E going over. Is it Dublin?
Have a good evening to 37 Hotel Charlie.
GCN? Is that Cranwell to Dublin? No, XC is Cranwell, isn't it? I don't know what CN is. It Cambridge? No. So you can see we're already above 1,500 feet, and if we were any lower.
Spitfire entry control airspace radar service.
Roger, radar service, Spitfire.
And Spitfire, if you redirect you to the field and report field in sight.
Roger, direct to the field, and we'll report field in sight, Spitfire. So I can more or less see it there. I can just see a bit of approach lighting over here. But I can see from Plan G that it's over this way, so this is the way I'm going to go. Obviously, real world, you would use your VFR maps, and I will show you them one day. I think they're upstairs actually, but I'll do a tutorial including the maps, and we'll properly kick the arse out of it. But I wouldn't expect anyone to have those maps. So this is pointing.
090 degrees.
So that's Woodford Airfield. So the next one up there is must be Manchester.
Mercy at
We've only been given 1,500 feet, so it doesn't give us a very good visibility of what's coming up. And approach Spitfire's got field in sight.
Spitfire, you enter right-hand orbit, present position until advised.
Hey firm, yeah, right-hand orbit until advised, Spitfire. Okay, that's because we've got a Thompson 38 Charlie on approach. In fact, we can see him there on the noselet. So we've had some good traffic. This is good. Good from a tutorial point of view. Because, shit, I've just smashed well above 2,000 feet there. So let's sort that out. So yeah, this doesn't... It's happened a few times to me on stream, but not. It's not common to be given an orbit, because normally on VATSIM a VFR aircraft would quite often be given priority. Now that's not what happens in real world. VFR is very much at the bottom of the list. But because VFR is unusual on VATSIM, air controllers tend to want to focus on them because they're not used to it and get it all sorted tickety-boo. But in this case, we've got Manchester radar on, so that's Chris Hines. I'm not familiar with this chap, but so far.
Report final runway 23 right, number 2 following a 737 on a 4-mile final, portion weight turbulence, recommended distance 5 miles.
Roger, we'll report final, and we have the traffic as well. 5 miles recommendation, weight turbulence, Spitfire. Thank you. Okay, so that's a conditional pattern entry. So that's a weird radar message. Sorry, ATC message. A very weird. Because, yeah, no, that's. I know what he's trying to say. So for me, as an experienced pilot, I can do what I can figure out what he's trying to. Is he going around? Or is that just network lag and it's dead reckoning? That was a very weird message. But, and here's the important thing, I know what he was trying to say. Now flip that on its head, right? Imagine I'm not an experienced pilot. Caution weight turbulence is irrelevant in FSX because it's not modelled. We do it on VATSIM for realism. Okay, if I was to follow on behind that, like right up his blooming arse, in real world, I'd be upside down, and you'd be dead. Frankly, and there's no two way about it. So we do it on VATSIM to sort of maintain a bit of realism. So that's about 4 miles. I know that from Plan G because the ILS markers are 4 miles. But that was a weird message. So as I say, flip it on its head, right? I'm an inexperienced pilot and I'm giving air traffic not the correct, I'm not using the right words, but I get the message across. All right, we'd say that's a good thing. Yeah, and this is what I'm trying to teach you, is that as long as you get the message across, then we can work on the correct words. And this is exactly the same for air traffic controllers. We're all I don't like to use the word volunteers, but we sort of are, but we're hobbyists, you know, so people aren't perfect. And although he didn't say the right words, I'm not quite sure, you know, what he was trying to say, I know what he meant, and that's important. And radar Spitfire's final 2-3 right.
Spitfire, runway 23 right, clear to land, service winds variable 3 knots.
Roger, clear to land 2-3 right, Spitfire. You don't have to read back the winds. That's information only. So I don't need to drop the flaps yet. If I did that, it would take me chuffing ages to come in. And there is actually an A320 off to my right hand side somewhere. There he is. You see him there? So I don't want to suddenly stop dead in the water. So I'm going to pretty much fly it in. And thinking of which, I'm now going to use this moment to pull up the ground charts.
Shamrock 21 kilo, X-ray turn right, heading 140 degrees, descent to altitude 3,000 feet.
So I'm going to kill the speed.
140 degrees and altitude 3,000 feet, Shamrock 21.
With the flaps, and then down we come. I've pulled up the wrong chart. That was probably one of the softest touchdowns I've done in a little while. Pull the flaps up just to negate any chance that we are going to randomly take off again. And we're on Bravo Delta here. And Spitfire vacating onto Bravo Delta, looking for taxi to Tatton, please, if possible.
Spitfire, not a problem, to manage to taxi into Tatton via Bravo.
Tatton via Bravo, thank you very much, Spitfire. Okie dokie. So again, we could have easily let him tell us where to go. Realistically, in a light aircraft, he's probably going to. He's probably going to have given us Tatton, or if there was any doubt, then he would have said, hold position, maybe. Where would you like to go? And then we would have said, we want to go to Tatton, please. And he would have said, right, taxi to Tatton via Bravo. Again, I only know where Bravo is because I've got the charter, although I know the taxi here. So technically I didn't need to pull that up because I'm familiar with the airfield. But I could have stopped once you vacated the runway. So the holding point, you normally stop short of it, yeah? So if you're taking off, you get hold at Alpha 2, you know, you stop before Alpha 2. When you've landed, it's different. You need the airspace, the other side of Alpha 2 is the important bit. So when you land and then vacate the runway, you stop short the other side of the holding point. So you cross the hold and then stop because you need to be away from the runway, yeah? Hope that makes sense. So you would, yeah. So you would say holding at, you know, Alpha 3 or Bravo 1 in this case, but you would actually be tail into Bravo 1.
X-rays to altitude 2,000 feet further than flight path.
You can always do 2,000 feet from what you want, very fast.
Radar Spitfire shutting down. Thank you very much for the excellent ATC. Have a good night. Don't need to do that. Just polite.
That's not a problem. Thanks very much for flying.
Don't need to do that at all. and actually it's discouraged. So I'm showing you bad practice here, but you know that's the way I am. So they can stick it. So I will disconnect from VPilot. We can kill the lights. Kill the fuel pump. This is all off. Yeah, this is lovely. And there's us. Okay, we can't see the chappie on landing because I've just disconnected. But this is the lovely Manchester. This is the UK 2000 scenery. They have a freeware of various different UK airfields. Just don't even question it. Download them. If you're on FSX or P3D, X-Plane's different. But download them and have them, and you'll be hooked on it immediately. Manchester was one of the first ones I bought their payware version of. To be honest with you, it's not a huge amount different to the freeware one, but it's so. What I'm saying is the freeware one is stunning, and obviously not quite as good as this, but. Tell you what, it's bloody good. It so is good. They've, from a business point of view, quite often you will find, you know, with the free demos and stuff like that, the UK 2000 don't do the demos. They just do a downgraded version of the thing. But their demos just make you want to throw your wallet at them. I mean, really do. I'm not loaded by any stretch of the imagination. God, I wish I was. But this was well worth it. 12 quid or something it was. But get the freeware one. Come to that decision yourself. You know, pay for it when you're ready to pay for it, whether that is now, in a couple of weeks, or 10 years. Doesn't matter. If you stick on the freeware one for life, then fine. Stick on the freeware one for life. That's fine. No one's gonna, you know, judge you for it. But I had 10 quid to spare, and I'll tell you what, I mean, just look at that. I know I'm biased because I'm from Manchester, but I've not been on holiday for years, and this just makes me want to go away. Possibly not in a Spitfire, because it's going to take a fair old bit of time to get anywhere you want to go, but no. Dublin radar tower ground and deliveries on. Aye. But there we go. So yeah, not one. I need to sort this chroma out, don't I? Because this green screen's gone proper spaz. As always, comments, questions below. Like, subscribe. Yeah, I'm going to bait for all that sort of thing. Share amongst your friends. I've got bugger all subs. I'm not doing it for stats, you know. I'm doing it. I'd rather have one sub that really enjoys it than a million subs who think it's tosh. So share, get people who you think might enjoy it to have a look at the video, and if they do like it and they want to be kept in the loop, then get them to sub, because it's the best way of doing it. We're apparently going to get a baggage trolley to come and unload our Spitfire with all our dodgy stuff that we've picked up from London. But until next time, good night. Thank you very much.